Everybody, welcome back to another video here at the Point Three Podcast. We are your favorite trio of hosts. Myself, Hero Scroll, Spider Brando, or Super Spider Brando, excuse me, and Lou right below. Everybody, we are in Avengers Doomsday season, and I have a very serious question for you guys. Did you know that the X-Men are going to be in Avengers Doomsday?
They are?
Yes.
Crazy, right? Who would have thought? Never in a million years. Well, if you're living under a rock, though, there's been some teasers coming out for Avengers Doomsday. The first one was for Captain America. The second one was for Thor, confirming that those characters are coming back. In case you didn't know that, this third one leaked before it was released, showing the X-Men. So if you don't want to know what happened in the trailer, we're going to talk about it very, very quickly with you guys here today. But if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube, follow us on all our social media, and remember that Discord always eats first, so make sure to join us over there. But Lou, if you want to hit them really quick, recap what happens, what we see in this new leaked X-Men trailer.
Yeah, we hear some voices in this one. We get a couple cool shots. I actually think SB probably would be better to do this one justice for the shots that we'll talk about. But we got some voiceover, and I think that's kind of been the theme of this one a little bit, at least the last two with Thor. But we do get some voiceover here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this one is Professor X or Magneto is talking about this one.
I believe Magneto.
Yep, Magneto in this one. So we get some Ian McKellen, who we know is definitely up there in age, but we do hear an OG Magneto giving us some thoughts here around death specifically. And we also get a really, really cool visual shot that I think is what you'll probably see trending if you're looking at this by the time this comes up. But SB, what do we get a chance to see?
Cyclops are forming some freaking laser eyes. Gotta love to see it. See, who knows? That shot was crazy, and it was ripped straight out of X-Men 97. So love to see it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I don't know, Hero, if you want to start somewhere else, but I think for everybody watching, that was like the biggest takeaway, I think, was focused around Cyclops for the most part. But Hero, I'll throw it back over to you, man. Seeing those things, seeing the leak, seeing the trailer, what vibe did you get from it?
I honestly got the vibe that this just wanted to showcase two things in specific, which was comic accurate costume for Cyclops and just genuine power set. While they do have kind of a shot of Magneto and Charles looking very old now, very rough, doing their favorite thing together, which was playing chess. I think we kind of knew that was kind of be a thing. I think the big thing they want to show is that, hey, we're going to give you comic accurate X-Men like we've kind of been doing for a little bit now, starting with like Deadpool and Wolverine, and even more so in like the Marvels. It's very interesting, though. Very interesting. I'm happy to say, in some ways, this is the first trailer that I think has finally piqued the interest of people in a positive way for Doomsday. I think everything else has been very, very questionable at worst, and like downright dumb at other times. At the fact that this one is finally the first one that can feel okay is kind of telling about Avengers Doomsday as a whole. But I'll give it the win here for once.
SB, what do you think? Are these dubs?
I would say in a way, yes. Just because it's cool to finally see the chair reveal pay off a little bit. And like, nice to see them go this comic accurate route. We knew it was coming. Like, I sent all this stuff. When I sent the leaks to my group chat, one of my friends' first responses like, but we knew they were coming already. And I was like, yeah, but it's cool to see it. Like, James Marsden in a classic suit. Now I just hope that it's not just revealed in the trailer and that's all we get out of it, but we got a whole year to figure it out. I would say out of all of them, this one piqued my interest the most. Definitely.
And listen, this isn't like a subtle flex by any means, but for me, the X-Men have been my team for the longest. Spider-Man and the X-Men Those were like my OGs for Marvel. And funny enough, I was given back this about a year ago, which was one of my old X-Men VHS that I got. But dude, like this sort of stuff is stuff we've always been looking for. Collecting in the fandom, it's always been, hey, we want to see the Avengers, the X-Men, we want to see the OGs of, you know, the legacy Spideys, the Fox X-Men, and then the OG Marvel Aces, and probably the big three of Iron Man, Thor, and Cap, all sharing screen together. Like that is the next peak for tons of people and tons of fans. But when you look at these things, and this trailer included, it seems like, especially with the X-Men, it's all a double-edged sword. And what you ultimately get is a moment with this trailer that potentially is more of a short-term play that hurts the long-term X-Men. And that's for me where when you boil everything down, I do like that this trailer itself kind of represents redemption, especially with having a focus on Cyclops and James Marsden, who probably got the short end of the stick with his little love triangle Fox run that he had, which was whatever. But even hearing him, like going back to hearing him like, oh, he's going to reprise his role with the chair reveal, you're like, ooh, okay, is he going to at least look accurate? You see this trailer and you're like, okay, check. And then you see the power set and you're like, okay, check. And then you tie this to 97 and you're like, well, if they do these mutants like they're doing in 97, that's going to be a dub. So for me, you can look at this balance for right now, short term, and say, hey, yes, I do agree. This probably was the best. I think this feels better than the Steve Rogers reveal. I think it does feel better than the Thor trailer. But I think this opens up more questions than it does give you answers.
Yeah, no, Lou, to your point, that leads me to where I can't allow myself to enjoy it past the trailer. It's a very cool moment, don't get me wrong, but with the track record we've seen of Marvel and how they just straight up lie to you in your face and they're like, hey, we're going to give you more of this, i.e. Red Hulk, i.e. the Illuminati. You see them in the trailers and you're like, oh man, they're going to be this big part of the movie. They're going to be huge. And then they're there for like 5, maybe 10 minutes max, play minimal roles, and then that's it. They're thrown to the side and never seen again. And I fear that, like with the X-Men, this is what's going to happen because, at least we forget, this is not an X-Men movie. This is an Avengers movie. Your main characters are going to be Avengers. The X-Men are side characters. And at most, will not even at most, none should or will have more screen time than your Avengers characters.
I think to that point too, I'm curious what you think on this aspect, because I think in Discord we were talking about like in looking at the Infinity War runtime for characters, and you see that the supporting characters who get the most run are the Guardians when it comes to the Strange and the Iron Man. You know, everyone's below Thanos, but with this specifically, there was history with all of those characters. So you could put in less time, have them be impactful, and understand who they are, why they're doing what they're doing. This movie, what they run the risk of is, and even with this trailer, is show me and tell me. Because justifying why they're there, sure, they'll take time. But again, even in this trailer, Magneto and Charles' relationship, you're inferring a lot of stuff just based on your own knowledge. And when you see Cyclops, it's probably the only one I would say, besides Steve's moment, to where you're like, maybe we can look at setting and what's going on and it'll fill in a few of the blanks. But here, to your point, me looking at the history of the MCU, I don't necessarily trust that that moment is really going to be a huge impact on the main plot. That very well could just be a flashback, very similarly to what we had with A38 Strange on Titan when the Illuminati was telling the story. Hey, this is what happened. This is why we're here. This is what we're afraid of. And then we move on. And we're hoping there's follow-up for a studio that's historically known to not do any follow-up, unless it's 5 years later with a brand new movie that's starting the Avengers again. Like, the whole thing with that is I just don't have faith that they're going to do it.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part. And it's like, I get it that people are excited. I'm glad people are excited for the X-Men. Don't get me wrong, and I'm glad that finally more people are continuing to see a better version of Cyclops. But it's just really funny to me too that I mean us on Discord, and I know a lot of other people too about it, that like not too long ago we were talking about how James Marsden sucks as Cyclops, and not even because of the writing. It's just he's not great as Cyclops. Just the fact. And yet here we are being like, James Marsden, yes, because of a moment. Because of a moment. Is he truly great because of one singular moment? No, he's not. That's
Okay.
not how these work.
Well, let me ask you guys about this. SB, I'll start with you. Is the trailer enough to warrant more of a focal point on Cyclops in Avengers Doomsday? Like if you're Marvel and you see that and you're like, wow, fans are really responding to this. If you could and you wave a magic wand, would you give him more screen time based on today?
Without factoring into the Cyclops hype that X-Men 97 already brought, I would probably say no. But if you pair them together, I would say yes. James Martin is loved in the Sonic community too. Shout out to him and being in
That's
the
true.
Sonic trilogy. But nobody, yeah, like you guys said, no one was really clamoring for him to come back as Cyclops. So it's interesting what they're doing with him, but I don't know. I like visuals, and that moment got me. That moment got me hyped. I can't lie. I cannot lie on that. It's
Okay.
cool to see him finally get like an actual suit instead of those weird ass, instead of the his black leather and weird stuff that he had in the past.
which is fair. I want to quickly pivot to a long-term view on this because for the same fans who love this, again, I thought it was a cool moment too. Do not get me wrong. Like, do not mistake.
Agreed.
It was very cool. It was very cool. Cyclops is one of my favorite characters. Like, that's the kind of moment that you want. However, we know that, and a lot of fans online are saying the next saga needs to be the mutants. The next piece needs to be mutant centric. We talked about this in our live stream about chasing moments and how it hurts your long term. Comic accurate Cyclops, we're finally getting what we're asking for. It ties in the X-Men 97. We know it's an Avengers movie, and the X-Men aren't a focal point of this from whatever Earth they're from. Does this hurt the future prospects of a character like Cyclops in the MCU?
I was also thinking that in the long term, this stuff, like bringing any of the legacy people back, just hurts the setup for the new people, because then they're always just going to be compared to, like, if the Russos do them very well and then the next people don't do them very well, they're going to be compared to the legacy moments that we get out of this nostalgia stuff. But it's like X-Men 97 also, they're always going to be compared to that team as well. So it's tough. It's tough to use legacy in the way that they're using legacy too.
The tough part of it too is that, and I think we were kind of talking about this on Discord, where you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't after that too, because a lot of people have been clamoring for the X-Men for such a long time, and they want to see certain characters. Well, Avengers Doomsday does it. Now, in Marvel's mind, they might think, oh, we don't have to use your traditional X-Men team. We can maybe use certain different characters. That might not be the case anymore. Like you start conditioning them to see the X-Men in a certain way, and you can't go past that anymore. You can't do the new things that you want. But then if you do the new things, you're going to anger the old people. But if you don't, you're going to anger some of the other people that want to see some new stuff. It's a very bad situation, I feel like, because then you're also just cheapening overall the X-Men, because again, for a lot of people, the main reason for the reboot is to bring in the X-Men. That is mainly the reason that people want a reboot, so they can bring them in clean and they can feel fresh. But yet here we are bringing them into the old stuff. They don't feel as fresh anymore. They don't feel as cool because you just saw the X-Men in an Avengers movie.
Yep, and then that's the whole thing, and I think this is the theme that we've started from the very beginning of all of these 4 trailers. Is are you chasing the moment? Or are you going to essentially chase greatness for the MCU, which you're capable of doing that, but also cheapening the legacy, and in doing more appearances for these characters, are you ultimately destroying the special sauce, right? Everyone used to talk about that with the MCU. Like, you're diluting the special sauce with these characters. Your first live action iteration, to your point, Hero, and S3, you could probably talk about this, especially with, you're probably in more servers and talking to more people and kind of having like a better pulse on just more of a general thought. But this is a lot of people's first instance for them to see the X-Men in this capacity, especially Cyclops. People aren't going to go back and watch all the Fox movies. Maybe they do, maybe they won't. But once you learn that none of those really matter, what's the point? Just understand how the actor acted a decade ago. It's just what's the value of this character? And again, Cyclops is a character that should be on par with the Caps of the world, should be above the Iron Mans of the world. Like, himself, and I would even put Storm in this category too. They're S tier characters and leaders of the X-Men team in some form or fashion. And it just, to me, doesn't come across as that's the kind of character you're going to get, even though the looks may be more comic accurate. Once that's done, and since we're about a year away, now the next thing is going to be the story and character. And that is the biggest piece that I feel so far is going to be missed from people. And ultimately, if they fumble the bag on this Cyclops, to your guys' point, why would I want to see a Cyclops in the rebooted MCU?
Looks and moments can only take you so far before people really start to want substance behind it. I mean, genuinely, I think that's such a simple concept when it comes to filmmaking and stories, especially for the MCU, where it's hard for me again to just allow myself to be as excited, because we've all collectively experienced the best of the MCU that the MCU has to offer in a way that felt good. And we're not getting that. We're just not. X-Men included. So why should I be more excited than, what I am? As I think the question I continue to ask myself, and it's because of that.
Yeah. And I think one last thing that I want to say is, for me, again, maybe it's a hot take for you guys, maybe it's not a hot take. I still believe that the Marvels post-credit scene with Beast and Photon, and when Monica woke up and where she woke up, I think that was a cooler scene than this teaser trailer, personally. I think it did more. I think it created a little bit more intrigue for me. I want to see where that picks up and where it goes. Yeah, do I want to see like some of these moments in the X-Men trailer? I do, but I just think, that deserved love in the past, and it's kind of forgotten, and this is hyping people. And it kind of takes me back to that place of like, there have been some really exciting things in phase 4 and 5 that just fell on deaf ears, and people are like, meh. And then this comes out and we're just like all raged up, and we're like, yeah, Doomsday, whoa. And I'm like, oh, it just is a little frustrating for me, but these are okay. These are okay. They're dubs for the fandom, but I think we've gotten better, and the response hasn't really reflected that.
Yeah, for sure. Either way, though, we have one more trailer to go, so we'll see what that holds in store. If you've read some rumors, you might have an idea of what it is. But if you want to talk about it, come back over here, because we'll definitely be discussing it. And make sure you're in our Discord, because we'll 1,000% be discussing it there, especially with more leaked photos, more screen recordings there, as we can do that a little bit more there than here. But either way, thank you everybody for joining us for this video. What do you think? Are you excited for the X-Men in Doomsday? Have these trailers done anything for you? Please let us know so we can continue this conversation going. But until next time, potentially the next trailer. SB, what are the 3 most important things that all these fine people have to continue to do?
You gotta keep watching, you gotta keep reading, and you gotta keep nerding out. I'm gonna add 4th one, you keep dooming out.
Doom it out, baby. Until next time, everybody.